I'd try this a new way. I'm gonna show you the tricks that I know. I'm getting tired of talking, and I need more of a show right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. You got me on tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high. I won't be turning around. No, I won't be turning around. It's the right time. You feeling alright? I'm playing your game like I will win tonight. I think I'll do it on my way. I'm gonna show you what I'm going through, get you out of your comfort zone, 'cause I need more of the truth right now. It's time that you made your mind up, 'cause lately all it ever does is change. Feels like we're only talking, going round and around, back around. I will fight like no other every day. I won't stop like the others. I will stay. 'Cause now is the right time, and I'm feeling alright. I'm playing your game like I know I can win right now. You got me on tonight, 'cause loving you is like I'm walking a tightrope so high.
Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the qualifying watch-along for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Yes, back in Bahrain, but in November. Doesn't it feel weird? So used to having Bahrain. Usually, April time, end of March, somewhere around there. So quite weird having this one towards the end of the year. But I'm looking forward to this one. Always look forward to Bahrain because we do tend to, as said in the preview, see some pretty decent racing. So hopefully we'll get a good qualifying session today and a cracking race tomorrow. And of course, next week, it's the outer loop, which could be interesting. But anyway, enough of that. Hope you're all well in chat. Thank you for joining me this Saturday afternoon. If you are new to the channel, tuning in for the first time, first of all, welcome. But secondly, just a heads up, no on-track footage in this stream for copyright reasons. I just put on Twitch, I have enough problems fighting FOM with the stuff I'm allowed to use without having to add a live feed in the mix as well. So yeah, no footage, just live timing provided by Cranky Yankee, and also lots of chat and updates as well. I'm watching on Sky so I can keep you abreast of what is happening in Formula One. Hope you're having a good afternoon. We are in the afternoon, yeah, 20 to 2, so it's about normal times. Good afternoon to Jack. The Stats Sky segment was amazing. I was watching just before I went live, mate. Max Claydon as well, good afternoon to you, mate. Davesh, good afternoon to you. Andy's here as well. Hi to Sam, to Will, to Ben. Good afternoon, mates. Heretic, I nearly read that wrong. Welcome, Falco as well. Hey to Catherine and to Henry as well. Looking forward to this. We should have a look at the FP3 result before I go any further, actually, from this morning, because we can't really read anything into FP1 and FP3 when it comes to practice in Bahrain, because obviously they're run during daylight, warmer temperatures, completely different track conditions to what we're going to get in qualifying, etc. So it's kind of pointless, but it has thrown up a very interesting potential grid. I quite fancy that. Max Verstappen fastest this morning on a 1:28.3. I'll say straight away, everybody's fastest time was set on a soft tyre. Lewis Hamilton, a quarter of a second back in second place. Valtteri Bottas third and Alex Albon fourth. Come on, Alex. You need that, mate. That's why you need to be in qualifying today. Carlos Sainz in fifth. Pierre Gasly sixth. Long run pace yesterday looked very good. Very, very good for Pierre Gasly. Lando Norris seventh. Daniel Kvyat eighth. Lance Stroll ninth and Sergio Perez in 10th place. Danny Rick was 11th, Esteban Ocon 12th and Sebastian Vettel 13th. Antonio Giovinazzi 14th place, solid for him this morning. 15th for Leclerc, 16th for Russell, 17th for Grosjean, 18th for Magnussen, 19th for Raikkonen and 20th for Nicholas Latifi. Like I say, I mean, get excited because, you know, we've got some qualifying to get into today, but that doesn't necessarily represent the pace we're going to see this afternoon, because obviously very different conditions out there on track this morning. But good to see Max Verstappen in the mix. That'd be good today. I'll tell you what, though, Valtteri Bottas has really struggled so far this weekend. Does not seem to be completely comfortable in that Mercedes. A lot of locking up, a lot of sliding. So maybe Max Verstappen's got a shot here at a front row start. Maybe pole, I don't know. I feel like Mercedes will probably still take it. But he's got a chance of splitting those Mercedes today. So keep an eye on that one in qualifying. But I'm so up for this one. Bahrain under the lights looks stunning. Always looks stunning. So much better than during the day. And I'm excited to see what we're going to get this afternoon. So yeah, Alex Albon actually, by the way, anybody wondering, did get out pretty swiftly for a Saturday morning. I think it was about 20 minutes in or something, but pretty swiftly for a Saturday morning, he was on track. So they got the car repaired, but he had to have a chassis change. No penalties, which is good news for him, but obviously he's going to have to get used to that in quali. So to go this morning and stick it P4 with a new chassis that he's not driven before, I think he can be pretty happy with. So he needs to build his confidence, because that crash yesterday will have been, when you consider the pressure he's under anyway, that would have been one hell of a kick for him. And I hope that he can sort of build some confidence and go into this session and find his feet again. Because he was looking good in FP1. He looked okay in the afternoon, not great in FP2 before his crash, but he certainly looks okay. Just hope he can translate that in some qualifying pace. But massive weekend, massive 3 weekends for him. I think Red Bull are going to stick with him. If we start with that, should we start with Albon? We'll get on some other stuff in a minute, but he's the big talking point at the moment, isn't he? It's hard to kind of get away from the Albon speculation, but it's harder for him, bless him, than anybody else. But yeah, it's kind of hard to get away from the Albon speculation. But I've been pondering a lot since the last time we were live, and I felt at the time like Red Bull had made their decision and he was off. But there just seems to have been a shift in the last week. They're still really pushing this, you know, we want him to prove himself narrative. We want to give him this opportunity, give him every opportunity to secure that seat. He's then been made an ambassador of the Wings for Life charity, which doesn't really mean anything, but are you going to make somebody a Wings for Life ambassador if you're then going to dump them from the program altogether? So that means that maybe he's got a shot at that AlphaTauri seat, if not the Red Bull one, if they do decide to make a change. But I don't know why. I've just got a feeling they're probably going to stick with him for next year, which, honestly, and I don't know if Jay's here because he's going to hate what's about to come out of my mouth, I don't think he deserves it on performance. But, the point is, on performance alone, you take Sergio Perez all day long. But from a Red Bull point of view, from a political point of view, they are partly Thai owned. Is it 51% Thai owned? Possibly Red Bull, something along there. It's about halfway. So there's going to be some politics further at wanting to keep him in that seat and give him every opportunity. So I don't think he's necessarily going to earn that seat so far on performance. If he has a good 3 races, maybe. But I put Perez in there all day long. I said to Jonty actually yesterday, I think it was, in a DM on Twitter, if I was in Red Bull's position, which I'm not, so it's easy for me to say, sat here in my room in Lincoln making these these crazy comments, but if it was me making the decision, I would put Perez alongside Max Verstappen, and then I'd put Albon in the AlphaTauri alongside Pierre Gasly, give Tsunoda another year in F2, even though he was stunning this morning, by the way. Yuki Tsunoda, spoiler alert, fantastic drive from the back of the grid. I would give Tsunoda another year in F2, see if he can go for the title there. Put Albon alongside Gasly at AlphaTauri, because I am absolutely adamant, and you can quote me on this in a year's time and make me look a fool if you like, but I'm absolutely adamant that Renault have got an eye on Pierre Gasly as a replacement for Fernando Alonso, maybe 23 as the team leader there, so they might want to bring him in 22. So Albon and Gasly at AlphaTauri next year. Albon stays on to partner Tsunoda for 22. I know we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves there. And then Gasly, off he goes to Renault maybe, or something like that. So that's what I would do. But I think Red Bull are probably going to go Verstappen and Albon seems to be the noises at the moment, according to those in the know. I kind of wish I could get into an F1 paddock one day, get my ear to the ground, because these journalists seem to get a lot of information, and these pundits on Sky, it's like, oh, well, we're hearing, and then they're completely wrong. But that seems to be the noises. Albon for 21 alongside Verstappen. Perez has got a press conference to Monday, 8:30 Bahrain time, which I believe is 5:30 UK time. A lot of people speculating that means he's going to make an announcement on his future. According to David Croft, Mr. Crofty, David Croft, there's nothing going to be announced. It could be a sponsorship deal or something like that, but there's nothing on his future on the table on Monday. So that's just a press conference for Mexican media mostly. So maybe just try to keep, as some have pointed out on Twitter, keep control of the narrative and the noises. I don't know, but there is a press conference. So I'll keep an eye on that, but I'm not expecting any major announcements based on... Can we trust Crofty? I think we can trust Crofty. He's not going to sit there on TV and say that he's got his PR team are telling him this when they're not. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think Albon and Verstappen next year. I'd be surprised if they went with Perez. I think there's the politics, like I say. There's also the fact they don't like to look outside their programme. Yeah, but again, as I say, if it was up to me, 100% Verstappen, Perez, Gasly, Albon is what I do, but I'm not expecting that. So let me know what you think in chat. It's going to be an interesting one. Good point, actually. Right, to read your message twice there from Mikhail. Is it Mikhail or Michael? Says, according to Sky Germany, the press conference is the Mexican media about Perez' 10th anniversary in F1, which... Is it 10 years since Perez debuted in F1? Wow. Yeah. Christ, that's gone quick. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to lose Perez. I got mad about Hülkenberg, but I think I'd be twice, maybe even 10 times more angry if Perez wasn't on the grid, because it's not like Hülkenberg last year didn't exactly have a brilliant season, did he? So when he lost his seat, you could kind of go, yeah, but he hadn't had a good year. Perez has been exceptional. He's 2 or 3 points off breaking his record in terms of points in a season, and he missed 2 races, and we've got a shorter calendar. That's the kind of year he's having. Yes, the car is probably one of the best ones he's ever driven, but, I mean, what a season he's having. So to lose his seat is crazy, but I think he could be back. I think it would be sabbatical for Checo, and I look at the grid, and I look at what Haas are doing with their lineup. I look at Albon, who's not been great, staying at Red Bull. I look at, bless him, Nicholas Latifi and Nat Williams. And then I look at Sergio Perez losing a seat, and I think, something's not right there. But, of course, this is F1. I'm not going to get onto a pay driver rant. I did one of those 3 years ago, which was terrible, when I didn't used to even bother to think about anything. I just went mad. But I just... it's the way it is in Formula One, especially this year. Teams need money. They need the cash, and they're going to take these drivers that bring a bit of money with them as well. So from a team perspective, I get it. You know, you Haas taking Mazepin, for example, but it's just frustrating when you've got a driver like Perez who's looking likely to be on the sidelines. Maybe Mercedes. Actually, AJ just said in chat that Perez to Mercedes. I don't think so. I am 99.9% sure Lewis Hamilton will be in that Mercedes next season. That seems to be what he's saying, what Mercedes is saying. They just need to sign something. I expect an announcement either the week of Abu Dhabi or pretty quickly afterwards. But you never know. And I think Sky made the point, just super quickly before we move on to something else, because I don't want to talk about Albon all day, but something else that was pointed out was, I think Sky made the suggestion that maybe, was it Damon Hill possibly, that maybe keep Albon now, and if he's still not performing middle of next season, drop him and bring Perez in. But I agree with Crew and Chandok, if you're doing that and that's a risk and you're not sure, bring Perez in anyway. I just think Albon in the AlphaTauri alongside Gasly, chance to do what Gasly's done and bounce back would be better for him than staying at Red Bull. But you never know. He might have 3 mega races and then next year he might be absolutely sensational. We don't know. But based on what we've seen this season, I wouldn't keep him in that car. And that's a shame, because I think he's got some good talent. I think he's a good driver. I don't think he deserves the grief he's getting. He's definitely a good driver. But yeah, on drivers, by the way, actually, Haas, Gunther Steiner said yesterday that Haas are looking or would like to make an announcement in the next week, but they're definitely going to let everybody know before the end of the season. We know who it's going to be, but it would just be nice to get that official confirmation. If you're not sure who that's going to be, it's going to be Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. It all just needs to be signed off and confirmed. So, yeah. But I think that's it then, isn't it? Lewis Hamilton's future pretty much decided. Haas need to make their announcement, and Red Bull, I think that's it. Unless I've missed somebody, let me know, and we can talk about that one. I read a couple of comments because we're about 8 minutes away from the start of qualifying. So, yes, we will see what you guys have got to say on this one. Ian Francis asking who we think will get pole. So we'll do predictions in a bit, Ian. Again, I didn't have to prove your message, so that little problem seems to have been sorted from the other week. So good to see you again, mate. Lewis agrees. Coolio agrees as well. Ash Cash says he definitely doesn't deserve it. I think Albon versus Gasly would be great to watch, says Ash Cash. Completely. I think it'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? It's kind of two drivers. One's proven his point by going back to AlphaTauri and having a fantastic season, one of the drivers of the season, and the other one going in to prove that he's got that pace. I mean, what a season that would be at AlphaTauri for us as fans. It'd be brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Ash also asking, doesn't want a driver to leave on peak performance. He definitely feels like at the peak of his career, doesn't he? Ice says on F2 race, for all the hate Mazepin gets, he can be fast. The thing with Mazepin, it's a line I've used so many times for Lance Stroll, and I feel like I'm going to have to use it a lot next season with Mazepin. Is he an epic driver that I look at and go, wow, that kid has got to be an F1? No, not for a second. Perhaps controversial opinion, but I do not think one strong GP3 season in a field that really only had Antoine Hubert and Callum Ilott as any real top-end talent in it for the full season, I don't think is anything to get excited about. And he's had a very good season in F2 this year, but, one swallow and doesn't make a summer and all that jazz. So I don't think he's amazing. I think his junior career is, it's okay. It's nothing great. But the point is, yes, he is getting into F1 now because of the money, but he has to have some kind of ability. He has to have some pedigree, because you can't just walk up to a team with tens of millions of dollars and say, I'd like that seat, please, because you've got to get a super license. You've got to be quick. You've got to show that you've got something underneath you in terms of your ability to get a seat in F1. I couldn't turn up. I wouldn't fit in one of the flipping cars. I couldn't turn up to an F1 team with tens of millions of dollars. I'll have that seat, please. Doesn't work like that. So is he amazing? No. But he's also not absolutely dreadful. And he has got some good raw speed. He's showing it this season. But the point is, there has to be something there for a team to take him on. So I'd much rather see Callum Ilott in that seat. I think he's been mega this season alongside Mick Schumacher. I think that's a great lineup for Haas long term. But also looking at it from Haas's perspective, they need money, and Callum Ilott doesn't bring money. Nikita Mazepin does. They're looking long term. If they bring that money in, couple of seasons with Mazepin, develop a good car for 22, they could be top end of the midfield, and it'll look like a genius call. They don't have to stick with Mazepin forever, but my opinion on his junior career is that he's not been great, but we'll see what he does in F1. He might be, this season might be the start of something for Mazepin. He might be finding some proper form and finally coming into his own, and maybe next year he'll be okay in F1. But I'll judge him on next season when we get to next season. But I just don't think he's all that. And it's nothing to do with the fact he's bringing money. It's nothing to do with that. I just don't think he's that great a driver. But we will see. He might surprise. Look at Lance Stroll this year. He is not. He's had so much flack, but he's been really solid this year. He's had a rough run of races, but pole position last time out, really great start to the season. He silenced a few critics. Still got a long way to go, but Mazepin might do the same. We'll see. That's the best way to see that. But I just look at Callum Ilott. He's not going to get in despite a great season. You look at Sergio Perez losing a seat. I guess even Nico Hulkenberg, you could throw him in there. They're not on the grid, but we're going to have a Mazepin. It just doesn't... a Mazepin? Nikita Mazepin, not a Mazepin. No, his dad going to drive. He might do, you never know, but we'll see. I think a lot of it is... I'm not saying that if we hadn't have had COVID this year, Haas wouldn't have looked for a pay driver, but I think that's one of the massive... I mean, Gunther Steiner said this week they were so close to not even existing into next year, so... I think that's possibly what this is more to do with than anything else. But we'll give him a chance. I know some people won't, but give him a chance. He might be great. If he isn't, then we'll go for it. But I'll always judge a driver based on what they do on track. If they're delivering, I'll praise them. If they're cack, I'll tell you they're cack. But if those rubbish drivers then turn it around, I'll give them the praise they deserve. That's how I always approach it in F1. So it's how I'm so up and down with Lance Stroll. Devish says that anything is better than Grosjean. I hope Dan's not listening. That'll not go down very well. The music has started. I was about 10 minutes late today, unfortunately. Got some stuff going on here which needs to sort out. So yeah, but we've got a good hour and a half to waffle as we go. Who have you got for pole today? Then we'll do predictions now for pole, or your top three if you like, and then we'll do them again before Q3 as a final prediction. I'm going to go Hamilton, pole, Verstappen second, Bottas obviously third, and I think Albon will make top five today. I did say the word cack, Mr. Linkin Park rules. For some reason, that's my word of the week. I've said it so much this week. I don't know where it's come from. Probably straight out of the 90s where it belongs. I have no idea. Where it came from. It's just a this week thing. Gamer McLife is going for Lewis Hamilton for pole position. JGM is in awe of my bold predictions there. Hamilton, Verstappen, and Bottas. Hey, it's realistic. I'd love to sit here and go Russell, Sainz, and Ricardo, but I know that's not going to happen, unfortunately, so we'll see. Verstappen, pole, Bottas second, third for Gazzy, says Ian. Ian Moon, got a couple of Ians in chat today. Ben's gone with Hamilton, Verstappen and Bottas. Verstappen, pole for Mario. Jack has gone with the Bahrain dog for pole. I want that dog. So cute. So cute. I just want a dog, quite frankly. Johnny's gone with Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. MJD's gone with Bottas. Sam saying like the video, people. Yeah, please do drop a like. We're a bit early yet, but if you fancy dropping a like anyway, feel free. Always appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. I've not got notifications on, but I'll sort that on the next screen. Kimmy for pole, says AJ. I love your optimism. Mr. Labman says Max, Hamilton, Bottas, a crash for Albon. Harshaw's gone with Verstappen pole, last name pole for R32. Charlotte's gone with Stroll for pole. Is that because it rhymes, Charlotte? Because I loved saying that last week. Stroll for pole. Stroll on pole. He needs more just so we can rhyme it. It's great. Twister's gone with Verstappen, Hamilton, and Gasly. Henry Lynn's gone with Mercedes, Red Bull. Not committing to which Mercedes. Like I said, I think Bottas has had a bit of a sloppy weekend so far, so that's why I've kind of gone with Hamilton over Bottas. Hamilton, Verstappen, and Perez for David, and one more. Stroll for another one, says Dylan, and actually one more after that one. Ian Francis says Hamilton, Albon, and Leclerc. I think Leclerc could surprise us all this weekend, as he has done most of the season. We'll head over to the watch-along screen. Thank you once again to Cranky Yankee for allowing me to use his live timing from his website whilst he's still allowed to do it. Well, I'm sure that'll come up in the stream at some point a bit later. It's been a weird week with FOM, it really has. But yeah, thank you to him for the live timing. Just a reminder, no footage from on track due to copyright law. I'd absolutely love to, but there's absolutely no way I can. Again, as I said right at the start of this, it's enough of a battle trying to use photos and that and fighting FOM over that than it is anything else. So yes, we are ready to go. I'll change the graphics on screen in just about. I forgot to do them before we got going, but I'll get the timer going. We are green, which is great news. Quali is underway. And it is obviously not Q3. If you're just tuning in, it is Q1, but I shall sort that now. There we go. Ready to go. Oh, this could be good. This could be good. Cranky Yankee redacted. I was going to do that. I might actually, Jack. I was going to be the F redacted word, but we'll see how things go. Things appear, at least, to have just calmed down a little bit, so we'll see. We will see how it all works out. But George Russell, first man out on track today, or for qualifying this morning. Looking forward to seeing if George can do his Mr. Saturday routine. According to, I don't know, what do you think about the AWS graphics predicting qualifying? They did it yesterday after FP2, and it was kind of rubbish. Really, we don't need it, do we? And then there was also one after FP3, which was completely pointless because FP3 doesn't mean anything. So I was quite surprised by that one. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of those qualifying predictions because, well, not predictions, the AI computer generated algorithm, whatever. I don't want to go into qualifying having a rough idea who's going to be on pole, because most weekends we probably know anyway. The last thing we need is a computer telling us that, yeah, it's probably going to happen. So it's predictable enough at times, F1. We don't need a computer algorithm to just confirm that for us on a Saturday. So what was that behind the timings? Oh, yes. No, I see. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Me being dumb. I'm on the wrong browser, so I can't open anything now, can I? Yeah. I'll have to be careful with that one. I'm having to use a screen capture at the moment because I can't get OBS to work the timing through the browser source for some reason. I don't think it's an issue with the site. I think it's an issue with me being thick, to be honest. I might zoom in a little bit, though. It's quite... text is a bit smaller. Usually go a bit further in than that. So, yeah, it was my 100k subscriber thing. It's my background on my desktop, just to remind me why I do it. Because as you know, Jack, we've had conversations, mate. As you know, some days I just sort of think, oh, why am I bothering? But, yeah, just a reminder that you guys are legends, and I need to stop moaning and just get on with it. I think I've gone too big with this now, but we'll see. And that's the first we're going to get, but it's not too bad, is it? Latifi's out there somewhere. Or on here somewhere. You might only have 19 drivers for now, which is quite annoying, but I'll let you know who's last if I can't get it up. Giggity. But Russell and Verstappen out there at the moment. Catherine says, I hate the AWS graphics. What's the point of qualifying if they're going to tell us who will place where? I'm hoping we're back. You let me know if you can hear me. Apologies for that. OBS just had a right moment and crashed for some reason, so I'm going to stop messing about with it, and we'll just have to make do with whatever is on the screen. I don't dare touch it now. I don't know what that was about, so massive apologies for that one. That is bizarre. There we go. Apologies, like I say. Yeah. That's weird. I'll keep an eye on OBS. I don't know what... do you know, it's never done that. In all the live streams I've done, it's never OBS that goes wrong. It's usually my internet that crashes. So, yes. So, back to qualifying. Max Verstappen, only one out there at the moment. He's on a soft tyre. So, this should be good. Rusty saying... Or Rusty Gusty. Fab name. Says, those sparks on Verstappen look amazing. I love it under the lights in Bahrain. The sparks, the cars, the aerial shots of the circuit always looks absolutely mega. So, and next weekend, by the way... I only found this out, or only realised this yesterday. It's an evening race, UK time. It's about 5:30, I think. So in Bahrain, it's going to be later. So it's going to be even, I don't know, maybe even darker than that, but it's going to be a little bit cooler, and there's some other variables thrown in. So with the different layout and the later start time, maybe a few more variables than I thought. So very much looking forward to that next week. I think that outer loop's going to be great. But Max Verstappen, we're on board with him now. I hate this final corner. I don't play a lot of F1 2020, but the amount of flashbacks I use for that final corner is ridiculous. Yes, I'm that bad. I use flashbacks. Over the line he goes. What's he going to do? It is a 1:28.885. Obviously purple all over. Not him, the lap time, because he's the only one out there to set a time. Sparks. It's low dragging, actually, that Red Bull, considering quite a high rake, hasn't it? But the Ferrari, apparently, according to Damon Hill, was dragging quite a bit as well. So, yeah. I've also changed browser, you'll be pleased to know. You shouldn't see whatever's on my desktop. Is a time difference just for temperature difference? That's from Ben. I'm not sure if there's any reason other than I think they're just mixing up a bit. But also, actually, maybe as stupid as this line might sound, pushing it back a few hours means there's a little bit more of a gap between the races. Does Liberty really think about that? I'm not convinced they do, but yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Nicholas Latifi is driver number 20, by the way. He's not showing up on there, but because OBS already crashed, I'm not going to alter anything. That is what it is. Apologies. Well, I'll just keep saying Latifi. Why not? Why not? We've got loads out there now. In fact, just about everybody, I think. Yes, everybody on track now. So Verstappen only one set of time as we come to 10 minutes to go in Q1, 28.8. Looks like traffic jam and the final few corners, as you would expect. Feels like that sometimes, doesn't it, Louis? Liberty don't really think about anything. I'm sure they give everything a lot of thought. I mean, massive credit. We've got 3 races to go this season. I can't believe it's nearly over. But I think for all the criticism levelled at them, certainly by me after Australia, we've got to give them credit for getting 17 races in this season. I did a video where where I covered what the rules were around minimum number of races for a World Championship, because I didn't think we'd get any more than 8 or 9 races in. So 17. For all the criticism they've had this year, massive kudos to Liberty Media for getting all those races in. It has been a good season. I know the championship has been wrapped up for a while, but it has actually been really great, particularly in that midfield. So, yeah. K-Mag at the moment looks like next one to get a time in, possibly a Williams as well. But everybody backing up at those final couple of corners at turn 14. It's kind of one corner, that, isn't it? But it's technically 2, 14 and 15, but it's really just one. Lewis Hamilton, purple in the first sector. I've closed a couple of windows, so I've not got the official timing on, so I'm totally relying on the TV now. So don't let me down. TV world feed. Or Skybox, for that matter. Oh, look at the traffic for K-Mag. All staying out of the way, fortunately. That could have been messy, but he's kept his foot in, K-Mag. Lots of space down the outside. And it's a 1:30.5 for Magnussen. And it's a 1:35 for Grosjean as well. Grosjean just quicker. And then jumping out of the way, looks like Danny Ritt's trying to get a toe. Lewis Hamilton purple in the middle sector. Russell goes second, ahead of both the Haas at the moment. 1:30.2 for him. Hamilton at the final corner. Looks like he's going to go fastest. And he does indeed, with a 1:28.3, half a second quicker than Max Verstappen's first run. Giovinazzi goes into third, 1:29.9. Good luck from Gio. 1:29.7 for Kvyat into third place now, displacing Giovinazzi. Perez, who has been so good so far this weekend, 1:29.1, now takes third place. Over the line goes Gasly, taking third place. Another one who's been mega this weekend so far, 1:28.9. What can Bottas do? Over the line, only a 1:28.7, a tenth quicker than Verstappen, 4 tenths slower than Hamilton. Of course, if you're new to F1, it's all about getting through Q1. So these times don't matter so much. It's just about getting through. So Bottas will need to find some time, though. Nearly 4 tenths off his teammate. Norris up to 6th. Seb Vettel goes 7th. Charles Leclerc is going to come across the line next. What can he do? Only 11th for Leclerc on a 130 flat, so well behind his teammate. Actually, Sainz goes into 5th. Over the line, Ocon, 129.2 into 7th. Ricciardo will be next. He only goes 11th this time. What can Alex Albon do? Rooting for him this weekend. Only 8th on a 129.3. Still 6.5 minutes to go. There'll be second runs for most people. Space said, I thought we'd agree to never use the word mega again. I love saying mega. It's just a better word than fantastic. Because if I say fantastic, I'll bring out my Gary Barlow impression and we're all in trouble then. So I'll offend Gary Barlow. I'll offend people from Manchester. I'll offend people not from Manchester. I'll offend people who aren't Gary Barlow. What happened with Charles Leclerc? They're going to see a replay. It looks like traffic. Oh, is that... Well... That must be his out lap. That can't be his flying lap, surely. If that's his flying lap, that's penalties for about 3 drivers, including his teammate. So I assume that's an out lap trying to find space. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So slow. Everybody coming in the pits now. It's kind of I couldn't. I'm trying to think back to last year because we've kind of just got everybody go out, do a lap, and then come in together. I don't know if that's normal for Bahrain. Actually, looks like you guys are having that conversation in chat. Louis says because it's night quali, the longer the session goes and the colder it gets, which screws with the tyre temps. So interesting. Just everyone's gone out, done a lap, and then come back in again. So there we go. If Vettel gets a penalty for impeding his teammate, that'll be peak Ferrari. Absolutely, Andrew. Good afternoon to Sophie as well. Thanks for popping along. Yeah, it would be peak Ferrari, wouldn't it? But no, everybody's in the pit, so we've got a nice little lull. So should we play some solitaire or something? I don't know. That's how thrilling my life is. Roman Grosjean, bless him, 3 races left for him. Kevin Magnussen as well. Looks like Kevin Magnussen's off to, is it IndyCar? Or if he's off racing in America. That'd be, it looks like everybody is going to come in, put fresh tyres on and go again. So we could be in one of those situations where you need to keep an eye on social media and whatnot after the session for penalties for impeding and all that business. So is he doing IMSA? Oh, do you know what? I think if he can't race in F1, racing in America, I think would be great for Magnussen. I really do. And he's just such... Because I'll miss the guy. I've said it. I know I did a video on my frustrations with him, and my frustration is always the same with him, that there have been points in his career where he's just done something absolutely incredible, and then, well, for example, Japan. Last year, that stunning move around the outside of Charles Leclerc at 130R, and then he's a prat on the start-finish straight by coming across the last minute and causing contact. That's what Kevin... He frustrates the life out of me, but I love the guy because I think he's a dying breed in F1. I really do. So I actually miss the guy, but I'm soft like that. I miss most drivers when they leave the sport. I mean, how many other people are going to turn around to another driver in a press pen and say, suck my... Yeah. I can't imagine Valtteri Bottas doing that, for example. So, yeah. Maybe Alonso next year. He's coming back. He likes to say a few things, doesn't he? He might keep us entertained. Everyone going out again. Then Hamilton and Bottas out there. Perez, Albon, Vettel, Fiat, Ricciardo, Giovinazzi, Stroll and Leclerc. Bottom 5 at the minute, Russell, Raikkonen, Grosjean, Magnussen, Latifi. So George Russell's got a shot here of Q2. Shouldn't really be a surprise, though. He's kind of Mr. Saturday, as they keep calling him on Sky. Verstappen, Gasly, Sainz, Ocon still in the pits by the look of it. I can't imagine Ocon's feeling terribly safe in P7. We've got 2 minutes to go. Verstappen, I mean, if the Mercedes feel the need to go out, unless they're just going to scrub some tyres for Q2 for that first run, I don't know. But why would they scrub tyres for Q2, Sean? They have to start on those tyres, don't they? Anyway, just odd that Verstappen, Gasly and co feel safe. And yeah, they're going to stay in the pits. There's no time to get round again. Unless they get out in the next few seconds. So that might help with traffic a little bit. But here goes George Russell with his lap. No, Binotto is not in Bahrain. He's in Maranello this weekend. And look what happened last time he did that, you see? You see? Yeah. I'm kind of hoping Seb Vettel uses that podium in Turkey to kind of kick on for the last 3 races and just leave Ferrari on a high. I think that'd be great, wouldn't it? Just 3 really good results following a podium in Turkey, so he could just be like, you know, I did all I could in the end. Russell, half a second up on Leclerc in P15, so George Russell at the moment looking handy for Q2, but these times are going to plummet as the track starts to evolve. Magnussen quicker than a time he needs to get through as well. Watching George Russell on board. I love when you've been on board with the Mercedes in a session and then you go and watch a Williams and you're like, how is that sticking to the track? It's just so different, aren't they? They really are, but much better than last year's Williams, of course. 7 tenths down on Hamilton, so Russell looking comfortable. At the moment, he would go around about P6 if that were to continue. It's not going to continue, and I may feel stupid in about 10 seconds' time. I don't think Russell's going to get that high, but not bad at all. Vettel quick as well. Magnussen improving too. George Russell goes P8 on a 1:29.2. There's the checkered flag. Session is over, so now it's about completing the laps. Here goes Vettel into P6. He's through. Good lap from Seb Vettel. Magnussen looks like he might scrape through as well here, possibly. He doesn't. Only P17, but it's close. What does Grosjean do? Only 18, but again, only a 10th off. Charles Leclerc, he needs this in the bottom 5, goes up to P6. Daniel Kvyat 13th at the moment. He's improving. Giovinazzi's improving. Raikkonen is also improving. Kvyat goes 8th. He's through. Giovinazzi only 14th. It might be tight for him. Daniel Ricciardo needs a lap. Raikkonen goes 15th. Ricciardo drops into the bottom 5 with Stroll. Magnussen and Grosjean are out. Latifi also needs to improve. There goes Ricciardo to P6. Russell falls to 12th. Albon 13th. He needs to improve. He is improving at the moment. Lance Stroll goes 2nd on a 1:28.6. This needs to be good from Alex Albon, and it is to P3 on a 1:28.7. Sergio Perez should be okay, but he'll complete this lap anyway. He stays 12th with a purple final sector for Lando Norris. Purple first sector for Lando Norris. He's driver at risk. Latifi also improving. No, Latifi stays last. And I think that's it. Hamilton pits. So we have lost Antonio Giovinazzi, Kimi Raikkonen, Kevin Magnussen, Romain Grosjean, and Nicholas Latifi. I don't think many surprises in there. Lando Norris only 15th in that session, but he's got through. George Russell not only through to Q2, but within a second of Lewis Hamilton, 9/10 of a second. That's mega. I said mega again, apologies. Esteban Ocon in P13, Sergio Perez 12th, Kvyat 11th, Sebastian Vettel 10th, Charles Leclerc 9th, 8th for Daniel Ricciardo, 7th for Carlos Sainz, 6th for Pierre Gasly, 5th for Max Verstappen, 4th for Valtteri Bottas, 3rd for Alex Albon, 2nd for Lance Stroll, and 1st for Lewis Hamilton. No idea why I felt the need to read that backwards, but I did. Catherine says that AWS was wrong. Latifi was at 19. Turns out they're not as accurate as people keep making out. Yeah, ignore AWS. So there you go. Giovinazzi, Raikkonen, Magnussen, Grosjean, Latifi all out of Q1. I think surprises, George Russell sort of, because we used to see him as Q2, but to be within a second of the fastest time, I think that's pretty decent, so well done to him for that in 14th. Surprised to see Norris down there in 15th, but I think Lance Stroll up there in 2nd place and Alex Albon 3rd, pulling out the laps when he needs to under a bit of pressure. Good stuff. Norris was going quicker. Freddie just saying Norris didn't finish his lap, so the P15 is not worrying. Not in his overall pace. No, it's just weird to see him down there. But he was purple in the first sector, then backed off in the middle. So obviously nobody improving. No need to go and thrash that car for the last couple of sectors. But probably would have ended up higher than 15th, and then Russell would have scraped through. So. Well, I assume he backed off. As a nice person said there, he messed up the middle sector, so it could have made a mistake in the middle, could have been backing off. But yeah, but Carlos Sainz up there in 7th, so there's good pace there. There is pace in there for McLaren, but yeah, AlphaTauri, I said it in my preview, I was expecting them to really bounce back this weekend after disappointment in Turkey. Looking good. Just watching an Alpha, I think that's Kimi Raikkonen. It is Kimi Raikkonen locking up at turn 10. Lost some time there, but I don't think he'd have got through on that. 3/10 off Giovinazzi. I mean, Gio was not that far off, actually. Lando Norris in the end. 0.02 of a second-ish, so there. Just to swap more staff now there. I think the question is, I think we had this earlier in the year, the question again is, which is the better tyre to be on for your lap? Is it the medium or is it the soft? So I'd have thought, or for race start tyre. I think the medium, if you are at the front of the grid, you want to start on that so you can go medium to hard. I'm hoping for multiple stops tomorrow. Hoping for, but you know F1. Watching the on-board with Russell. Louis says mediums for the one stop. Anish is surprised to see Stroll up there in P2. And Mario saying Ferrari really improved its pace. Good couple of weekends they need, don't they? Really, but I think mediums for the one stop is what teams will want to do. But I'm not. These tyres are a step softer than they were last year. Last year, they took the hardest 3. They've taken middle of the range this time, and there were 2 stops pretty much across the board last year. There were a few that went with 1, but most went with 2 last year. So I'd be surprised if they can make a 1-stop last or make a 1-stop work. But if you're a Lewis Hamilton, for argument's sake, and you're out front and you're cruising, you can look after your tyres, can't you? Make it work. Sergio Perez, we know he's pretty good on tyres as well, so maybe he could do something. But I'd be expecting 2 stops tomorrow. It'll be intriguing to see who goes with what compound of tyre. In fact, I'm going to try and open the F1 live timing again and hope that it doesn't crash anything. And then I can keep an eye on who's doing what on the tyres for you in this session. Looking at Bahrain at night. Looking beautiful. About to get into Q2. So I'll change everything now that needs changing because I'll forget otherwise. Get the timer ready to go. 15 minutes for this second session. And it's all about getting through to Q3. Just a reminder, if you're new as well. Tyres, they set the fastest time on in this session will have to be the tyres they start on if they make the top 10. Racing, Nessa says you can do 1 stop if you're Perez. You can probably do no stops if you're Perez. Or -1 stops. You don't even need tyres as Checo. That's possibly an exaggeration. Possibly. We are green, which is great news. Ready to go for Q2. That's a timer away, hopefully. All working okay. Now I do not touch anything. Let's have a look. I'm going to just have a look at the live timing. So just shut the chat down for a second. I still see you. Don't worry. I see you. Keep an eye on you. Might have a little bit of a lull just to start like we did in Q1. Everyone kind of ready to go in their cars. I'm not really sure what to expect here. I don't think we're going to see George Russell make Q3. I think that would be amazing, if I'm being honest. I don't quite know how mad we go this week. It'd be quite amazing, wouldn't it, if he had the pace in there. Ferrari maybe have a shot here at top 10. As was just said in chat, they've definitely got some more pace. But I'm not... I didn't write them off before the start of this weekend, but I wasn't expecting much from them because we know they're down on power compared to, say, where they were last time in Bahrain power-wise. So I'm quite surprised to see them sat there 9th and 10th in the order, actually. I thought maybe when Perez gets going properly, maybe Norris completes a flying lap, a bit more representative where his pace is, maybe that'll change. But I think they've got a shot, an outside shot. We know that Charles Leclerc is pretty good at extracting everything out of that Ferrari. We've seen that this year so much, haven't we? I can't quite understand how he is top 5 in the Drivers' Championship. I think I said this last week, and I don't know what the general consensus was in chat with it, but I kind of feel like this year's been more impressive than last year for Leclerc, despite the fact he won 2 races last year and got more pole positions than anybody else. Because I think he's having to actually really show what he can do in a disappointing car. Mario feels at a Racing Point is going to get a 2nd or 3rd place on the grid. I think they've got a shot of top 3, but I'm going to stick with my Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas prediction because I love to live on the edge like that, you know. I really, really do. We got some cars out on track. Here we go. Daniel Kvyat is going out there. He is on the soft tyre. Daniel Ricciardo is going for the mediums, as is Charles Leclerc, Sebastian Vettel, Sergio Perez, a McLaren, which I think is Carlos Sainz, Esteban Ocon. So a lot of people going for mediums here. So I'll wait for the timing screen to update and run you through them super quickly. So I think weirdly in this session, the odd one out is going to be the soft tyre. So obviously everyone agreeing that the best tyre to start on tomorrow is the medium because the soft tyre will not get all that far into the race is obviously their thinking. So just wait and see what Red Bull do. But the only drivers on the softs is probably the easiest way to do this is Pierre Gasly and Daniel Kvyat. Everybody else on the mediums. So, helicopter camera went mad. Somebody fell over. But yeah, this could be an opportunity for AlphaTauri to get both cars in the top 10 here. The problem is they've then got to start on a soft tyre. And when you're in that... I was actually just going to say, when you're in that battle in the midfield, it's all about Sunday rather than Saturday. But actually, from AlphaTauri's point of view, they're not going to lose their position in the championship. They're probably not going to gain anything. So they've kind of got nothing to lose and nothing to gain. So why not get themselves into Q3 and deal with whatever problems there are tomorrow tyre-wise? If you get what I mean. If you are Renault or Racing Point or McLaren in that really tight fight for 3rd, you kind of need to do the right thing for the race tomorrow, whereas AlphaTauri can just kind of go for it, can't they? So both Red Bulls also on the media. So it is just George Russell in the pit, sorry. So yeah, everybody on the mediums except for Gasly and Kvyat at the moment. There you go. Let's see, we got this. Danny Rick is going to be pretty much first to do a lap, I think. Nice fresh set of tyres, see what we can do. Have a look through the first sector in a minute, but Russell, I assume Russell's just going to do the one run towards the end of the session, probably on the softs, because he probably knows he's not going to get through. Having said that, if he's on a soft tyre and there's a decent delta between soft and medium, which I need to check actually. I might have a look now while Danny Rick's just coming through. Kvyat purple in the first sector, sort of what I was saying a minute ago. Maybe he might be able to surprise a few people there. Again, like AlphaTauri, he's kind of got nothing to lose really, has he, by going for that one, so... Just see, I can't remember what they are. There we go. So the delta between the medium and the soft is 0.6 of a second. He was 0.9 off Lewis Hamilton in Q1. Got a stopped McLaren. Carlos Sainz has stopped on track. Yellow flag is out. This could be a red flag if you don't get going. Is that turn 1 and 2? It is red flag. We have a red flag. So, yeah. It looks like he's had a spin. Got no drive, he says, so it's not a spin. He's just stopped on track. 9 minutes 10 still to go. Red flag. You know, in the last session, I said it looks like Carlos Sainz has some good pace. Yeah. Apologies, Carlos Sainz fans. Hey, he still had good pace. He just doesn't right now. And that is, yeah, down at turn 1. So we're going to... He's coming down into the first corner. Oh, and he's... Yeah. His rears have locked. He's got into a spin. And has no drive. So that's obviously a mechanic. That's obviously a... Yeah. That's an issue. That is not a mistake from Carlos Sainz. That is not something you see anybody do. Martin Brundle just speculating there that it could be a gearbox change. Obviously, that's very early. That's just speculation. We don't know. That is game over for Carlos Sainz. So that has thrown a spanner in the works for a few people with regards to their plan to go on the medium tyre for tomorrow's race. Because well, 9 minutes 10 to go. You can still get a couple of runs in, I'd have thought. Yeah, I just said that. Hey, Crofty copying me for a change. It's enough to get a couple of laps in. You might see some racing pit stops, but yeah. Interesting. I don't know if you've got any lag, but I'm getting another warning from YouTube about my bitrate being too low, but my bitrate is... It's not high, but it's above what it needs to be. So if it goes a bit laggy, apologies. All sorts of problems. Streaming has never really been an issue, but the back end of this year, for some reason, has been really, really rubbish. So over the winter, I'm going to do some troubleshooting and try and I might do some next week in between the races and try and do a few bits to sort out whatever's going on with OBS and internet and that. Maybe check my cables and things like that. But yeah, annoying. No, I don't think so. I don't think McLaren are giving Carlos a worse car. I know a lot of his problems, like you say, I know a lot of his issues are sort of mechanical issues. But McLaren can't afford that in this fight for third in the championship. They need the points, and a lot of money comes with it. And we know McLaren are having trouble because they're having to sell things off, aren't they? And they've got the McLaren Technology Centre up for sale and all that, and they're looking for investors. So they can't afford to do that. So I don't think so. I think it's one of those things. It's a natural thing to ask because when you've got a driver leaving a team and they seem to get all the mechanical problems, like Ricciardo at Red Bull, when he was leaving, you sort of go, that's a bit weird. But I don't. Maybe Red Bull would, I don't know, but I don't think McLaren can afford to do that. YouTube said I got a good connection now, so whatever that was, it was obviously just a moment. just a moment, another moment today, why not? Just another replay, Carlos Sainz now. If he's just turning up, we've got a red flag, because we love a red flag in qualifying. And we've got 19:10 to go on the clock. Not 19:10, 9:10. I'm quite happy if they want to add another 10 minutes to quali. I flipping love qualifying. Sometimes the best part of the weekend, isn't it? There you go. Frustrating for Carlos Sainz. Cannot catch a break, can he? At times, but just waiting for the green flag and we can get going again. Hopefully. I say hopefully. Hopefully there won't be a recovery vehicle on track when they start the session. I don't want to go off on one again. Jensen says, do I think Max will get pole position? I've gone Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. I'm going to say, I mean, he can. Of course he can. But I'm going to say no. But I think that would be a nice, if he could get pole, that'd be a nice race tomorrow, potentially. Mix things up a bit. But it was definitely a problem for Carlos Sainz. He's not going to lock both his rear wheels, pitch himself into a spin. There's just no way. So, yeah, mechanical issue. We're going to wait now. Here we go. Drivers starting to head to the end of the pit lane. Got 9 minutes and 10 on the clock. This is going to be, yeah, ready to go. So it's going to be Norris at the front of the queue, followed by Max Verstappen, still on the medium tyres, and they look to be fresh mediums as well. It looks like a mechanical issue for Carlos Sainz, Lucas. Could be gearbox, could be power unit, but the both rear wheels locked up and it pitched him into a spin at turn 1. He's not hit the wall or anything, just stopped on track after that spin. So they brought out the red flag for it. No one's had an accident, but looks like some sort of issue for poor Carlos Sainz. Hopefully doesn't have to take a penalty, because that could be devastating to McLaren, actually, again in that fight in the constructors. So hopefully all good for him. We'll see. I'm sure we'll find out in the next few hours. I'm sure they look like new tyres on the McLaren, but then they won't have done much on them, will they? So they might still have a bit of the shine on there. I do like these shiny tyres with green. Here we go for Q2 Part 2. Not quite the red flag we had to waffle through in Turkey. Nice person saying, I feel like the season has had way more red flags than the last couple. It certainly has, hasn't it? It's how many do we have in Mugello? We had 2 red flags in Mugello, didn't we, for the race? I think we had another one elsewhere as well during a race. So it's been Monza, of course. So certainly seen a lot more red flags this year. Obviously, it's not in qualifying. It's not too bad, depending on when it comes out, because obviously the clock stops. Whereas in practice, red flags can be pretty devastating for your track time, because the clock keeps ticking down. Hamilton, Bottas, Perez, Albon, Verstappen, and Norris all straight out on track on the medium tyres. What are Kvyat and Gasly going to do? George Russell surely just goes for the softs and just hopes that everyone else goes mediums and he gets a chance of a real shock result here. Just a little stat there about Ferrari. They led all the sessions last year and nearly won the race, of course, until Charles Leclerc's car gave up on him. Bless him, and he had to cruise back behind a safety car to 3rd place. But a stat I saw earlier, which I kind of knew, I think we all know this, but I had to do a double take when I first read it, was that Lance Stroll has led more laps than any other driver apart from the 2 Mercedes. He's led more laps than anybody else this season outside of Mercedes, and he's the only non-Mercedes driver, which I did definitely know, to get pole position this year. And Max Verstappen's won a race, and Pierre Gasly's won a race. It's just a stat. I was like, really? But he did lead 32 laps in Turkey, so without the damage the team found and their decision on strategy, he could have been on the podium, maybe even won that race. Mega weekend, mega again. Fantastic weekend for Lance Stroll. Purple for Verstappen in the first sector. Obviously, first one to set a lap time, Sean. Duh. What do we got then? So Norris will be 3rd across the line. Nothing to judge it on at the moment, so just waiting for a lap time on the board so we can kind of work out where Albon and Norris are in relation. In fact, I've got the live timing open now, haven't I? So I could probably use that now. So I prefer to do it in the TV feed. Albon not too far off his teammate in the first sector, a little bit back in the second. See what he does in the third. Norris is on a decent lap. So Verstappen does a 1:28.0. Albon really wide out the final corner. Doesn't want to do that again. Lando Norris on a 1:28.8. Albon a 1:28.7. So 7/10 off his teammate, but does go second. Sergio Perez, what can he do? Over the line. Not a great lap from Checo. 1:28.8 isn't terrible at all, Sean. He's right behind Norris in fourth. I just expected more from Checo there. Purple for Hamilton in the first sector. Probably going to go purple in the second sector, and will probably go purple in the third sector. Over the line he goes. Yes, purple in the middle. 1:05.9, 3/10 up. Valtteri Bottas, not... He matched Lewis in the first sector. A couple of tenths down in the middle sector. It's looking like Mercedes might be about to go 1 and 2, shock horror. And they are on the medium tyre. Gasly has gone out on the soft. And so has Daniel Kvyat, a 1:27.5 for Lewis Hamilton. And it's a 1:28 flat, for Valtteri Bottas, behind Max Verstappen. Nearly half a second between Hamilton and Bottas. That's quite a big gap. See what they can. Oh, Gasly and Kvyat are not on track. Apologies. I thought they were. They're not. The graphic thingy said they were. Never mind. I imagine they'll go on softs. Four minutes to go. Crofty saying their top three probably can sit the rest of the session out. Albon down, have got to go again. A lot of teams haven't actually got a lap in yet. Duck Rut says his transmission probably engaged 2 gears at the same time. The timing tolerances are pretty insane. I'll have to take your word for that one, mate. I have no idea how these things work. Yeah, but Albon really wide out that final corner, of course, yesterday. Stuck it in the wall there, didn't he? So that's brave to keep his foot in. I imagine he probably lifted off, actually. I think I said when we were doing the little pre-show thing that I think Albon will stay next year. If he made the same mistake at the same corner twice and pitched it into the wall twice in exactly the same place, maybe I'd change that prediction, because I think Red Bull will probably go, nah, you're not learning. So, yeah, that'd have been harsh. That'd be really harsh. But out they all start to come then. So George Russell is on a soft tyre, and actually Kvyat and Gasly decided to go with the mediums. So decided to think about the race tomorrow rather than a bit of glory today. Probably wise. But then if they don't make top 10, then, well... Waiting to double check. So, just having a quick double check of the tyre situation, because this is changing again. Everybody is on the medium tyre except for George Russell. It says Stroll is on a used set, but that could just be the set that he did his outlap on before the red flag came out. So probably not really done anything on them, but I don't imagine that'll make much of a difference. Good first sector. For Esteban Ocon. 2 minutes to go in Q2. And we're watching Ocon at the moment as he runs down to turn 11. He's got somebody slow on the outside there. It's a car. I couldn't quite see which it was. It's a car. Yeah, staying out of the way. They've not got the track map up. That's annoying. Through the middle sector, 106.4. Trying to get through to Q3 here. He's going to need... Probably going to need a low 28, mid 28 maybe, but... What's he going to do? Over the line he goes. It's a 28.9. Only goes P7. He might need to go again now, but he's only got a minute to go. Coming up to a minute to go. Kvyat not improving. Half a second down in the first sector, or not doing a decent time at all. Half a second down. Ricciardo improving. Gasly improving. I know I'm saying improving because they've not set lap times. Of course they've got personal bests. I'm just going to sit here and just, you know, shut up. But but Kvyat is down on Hamilton's time substantially, according to that graphic. But I'm not really sold on this. Second down in the middle on Hamilton, which will put him through at the moment if he carries that on. Ricciardo 8 tenths down in the middle sector. What is Gasly going to do? 9 tenths down, so it's close. So 1:27.5 is Hamilton's time. Here goes Danny Kvyat. Over the line he goes. 28.9. Goes 9th. Ricciardo goes 4th on a 28.6. Pierre Gasly, he only goes 10th on a 29.0. I think Gasly's about to drop out here. Unless Stroll Sainz is getting through. But Leclerc goes 11th on a 1:29.1. That wouldn't be a bad place to start. What's George Russell going to do? Over the line he goes. George Russell goes 12th on a 1:31.2. Then Sebastian Vettel ruins that by going 11th on a 29.1. Stroll needs this. Lance Stroll needs this. And only goes 13th. Somehow, Pierre Gasly is going to scrape through on what was a very disappointing lap. On a 29.0, we've lost Vettel, Leclerc, Stroll and Russell, and of course Carlos Sainz had that mechanical problem. Wow. So Lance Stroll was a hero last week. He's 13th today. We'll wait for some replays, but we've lost Vettel, Leclerc, Stroll, Russell and Sainz. But to be fair to Ferrari, they'll be annoyed at that. 1.5 seconds off the Mercs and whatnot, but there's nothing between them. Vettel out-qualifies Leclerc. They're 11th and 12th and get a free choice of tyre tomorrow, so they start a nice fresh set of mediums tomorrow, or even hards if they wanted to, so that's not all for Ferrari, because they probably would have been if they got through sort of somewhere between 8th and 10th anyway, so yeah. About half a tenth off as well. Seb Vettel getting into Q3, but that's not awful for Ferrari. And if you'd have told me start of the season in July that I'd be saying that 11th and 12th is not bad for Ferrari. Wow. Vettel had a couple of wobbles over team radio. I'll not make the noise he made. Feel free to if you want to. It was certainly interesting. I think Lance Stroll dropping out there is a bit of a surprise. I thought Racing Point, certainly based on practice, were going to be third fastest this weekend. And actually, he was second in Q2, wasn't he? So, Q1, sorry. So that is a surprise. Rain in Bahrain would be very 2020. It certainly would be. There was a threat of it as well, wasn't there? There was some drizzle, or a few spots at least, on Friday morning. Lance Stroll on team radio saying there's a miscommunication. We'll speak about it after, so we'll see what comes out of that one. Reading your chat because I love it. I see it on Twitter all the time as well. It's not just on, it's everywhere, isn't it? It's sort of, Lance Stroll last weekend had an amazing weekend. The team cock up his strategy and he gets damaged, and all of a sudden he's trash again, despite taking pole on Saturday and leading half the race. Drops out of Q2 today, and all of a sudden he's trash again, and it's just like, right, okay. He's not. I've always said this about Lance Stroll. I do not look at Lance Stroll and say he's a world beater. I'm not stupid. I know he's not the best driver on the grid or anywhere near the best driver on the grid, but he ain't half as bad as some people make out. It's quite hilarious. I was chatting to somebody. I'm not naming names. It's a friend. It wasn't an argument, but I was chatting to somebody the other day about. Was it yesterday, last night, or this morning? And they've sort of said, "Oh, Nikita Mazepin's better than Lance Stroll." I nearly pissed myself, quite frankly. It's like, yeah, look at their junior careers and say that again. I don't think so. But he's not. He's not. I've never said Lance Stroll is a world beater, but he's so much better than people give him credit for. He's not liked because of his dad's money, but that's not his fault. Do you know, Ashish has just... Stroll is good enough to drive an F1. For me, that's actually probably the best way of summing up how I feel about Lance Stroll. He's good enough to drive an F1. That's it. Not bad. Not great. It's okay. And if you're okay and you've got a bit of money behind you, teams are going to take you. He does need a good run though, Lance Stroll. Just while we're talking about him, his start to the season was so good compared to what we've come to sort of expect from him. But he's on a really rough run. In fact, while we're in a little lull between sessions, I'm just going to very quickly have a look at who needs what this weekend, because it makes sense while I'm waffling about Lance Stroll a little bit. But let's have a look. So Lance Stroll, last, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 races. One of those he withdrew from, obviously, because he was ill at the Nürburgring. So really it's 5. 3 retirements, a 13th place and a 9th place. Prior to that, retirement in Austria, but then it was 7th, 4th, 9th, 6th, 4th, 9th, 3rd. So he wasn't doing badly at all, was he? Yeah. Disappointing second half of the season so far, so he needs a strong finish. Alex Albon absolutely needs a strong finish. I kind of think Valtteri Bottas needs to win 1 or 2 of these last races just to give himself some momentum for next year. Max Verstappen, 6th in Turkey, retirement in Imola, so he could do with a nice few races. Just looking, I think Ocon as well, retirement in 11th, and then he's sort of, since Mugello, he's been retirement 7th, retirement 8th, retirement 11th. So he could do, I know retirements weren't all his fault, but could do with a few good races as well. A couple of those get on a run. It's kind of about building momentum for some of these drivers for next year. So like Ocon, Bottas, maybe Verstappen as well. But yeah, definitely Albon, definitely Stroll, and I'd say definitely Ocon as well. Interesting. I might do something on that at some point. Well, there's only 3 races left, isn't there? When? This is it now. Basically, between now and the end of the season, it's just race weekend content. Trying to squeeze other things in. Q3 is next, obviously. Comes after 1 and 2. Getting better with the maths. I mean, maths, is it? It's counting. Otmar Saf now just talking about Stroll there. There's one for you, or in the lull. Jack Chambers trying to stir up some trouble in chat. Says, who's better, Stroll or Ocon? Go. Hamilton. I'm letting you do that because I'm half listening to Otmar Saf now at the moment. See if we get anything. Here we go. It's 12 minutes, isn't it, for the final session? Oh, my timers are off because we had that red flag. How unbelievably rude. So what can Checo do? Crofty saying there to do the job for Racing Point with Stroll out. We are green. And this is it. 11 minutes and 50 seconds. I'm not going to sum up Ocon's season again. William says Ocon on quali pace, Stroll on race pace. Mario says between them Stroll. Andrew Smith says Stroll. Nice person says Strocon. That is a great word and a great name. Stroll is miles ahead of Ocon. IMO says MJD. Sanita says Ocon. Conal says Ocon. Apologies, butchered that. Jack said Stroll. He's the one that started the trouble. Yeah. A lot of people say Stroll. I thought it was going to be an easy one for Ocon. Dennis says Ocon. The Rudno says Stroll. Ben says Stroll. He says Ocon. Interesting. Surprised that's quite as mixed as it was, actually. Really, Perez deserves a seat, but too many drivers, limited seats. It's the same argument we have every silly season, isn't it, really? It's too many good drivers, not enough drives. Something's got to give. And unfortunately, you know, anyway, Formula One's expensive, so teams need money. But especially this year with everything going on, they need the money as well. They've got to recoup that. So it's going to come down to that, ultimately. So, yeah, we could do with a couple of teams. But I think we've had this conversation before. A couple of teams in F1 is great, but not just a couple of teams for the sake of it. There need to be a couple of teams that can be in that midfield fight. We don't want a HRT situation where you've got two teams driving around four cars making up two mobile chicanes at the back of the grid who just about scrape through if they're lucky to 107%. We don't want that. They need to be competitive and they need to be sustainable. They need to be able to stick around for the long term. But if we can get a couple of teams, suddenly you've got Perez on the grid, Hulkenberg's there, Ilot's maybe got a seat as well. Changes things very quickly. So I'm hoping these new regs in 22 work, and then maybe when the engine regulations, they reckon 2025 is what they're talking about at the moment. When they come in, maybe we'll get a couple of teams in, but we'll see. A few things like Panthera and things have gone very quiet, so I'm not expecting it anytime soon, but hopefully. 2 teams, I'd like that. 24 cars. Norris is out there. Looks like he's going to get himself a lap in. Ricardo probably first to do it as well. Tyre-wise, I think everyone will be on softs. Hamilton on fresh softs. Perez on fresh softs. Gasly and Bottas and Ocon also on fresh softs. Everybody else on used softs. But kind of as I said about the mediums in Q2 when some had used ones on, the softs might not have done any more than a lap. So get a banker in and then put some fresh on towards the end. So Norris coming into the final corner. It's having a drink there. Apologies. Go quiet. Out the final corner. Purple in the middle sector. It's a 1:29.0 for Norris. He goes fastest. Daniel Kvyat, he goes second on the 1:29.4. Here goes Daniel Ricciardo. He's going to be next to complete the lap. Perez, purple in the middle sector. Ricciardo over the line goes third on a 29.5. Perez is looking pretty handy out there. Hamilton now starting to do the purple sectors. Perez does a 28.4. That is going to be beaten by Hamilton, I would expect. But a very good lap that from Sergio Perez. As again from Gasly, a 1:28.8. Good lap from him. Max Verstappen, purple in the middle sector. So it could be between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen for pole here. There goes Hamilton on a 27.6. Max Verstappen over the line does a 27.8. The battle for pole is on. It is on. What can Bottas do? Over the line, only a 1:27.9. So Verstappen is a 1/10.5 off pole. Bottas is 2.5 tenths off pole. Albon only goes 6th on a 28.8. Come on, Alex. Come on, lad. He's on the used tyres, by the way. Not making excuses for him. He's on the used tyres, as is Norris, Kvyat and Ricciardo. So probably no great surprise. Those four are the slowest at the moment in this session. But it's Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, Perez, Gasly, Ocon, Albon, Norris, Kvyat and Ricciardo. 1.9 seconds covering your top 10. And we got 6 minutes and 55 seconds to go. Martin Brundle predicting P4 for Alex Albon there. I don't know who I picked for qualifying out the midfield battle. I know in the race I went Perez 4th, Ricciardo 5th, and Albon 6th. Max Verstappen, I was waiting for confirmation if Sky didn't hear it either, but yeah, Max Verstappen talking about something there. Norris, Kvyat, Ricciardo in the pits. They'll all come in now. 6 minutes to go. One final run. I think this battle's on here. 10th and a half. Jack says, yeah, I wonder what the new rules on sales of fossil fuels will do. I think all the car sales of fossil fuels are banned in the UK from 2050. It's new. I think it's 2030 for petrol cars in the UK, isn't it, Jack? New ones. You can still own a petrol car, but you can't buy a new one. They'll all be, I would imagine, hybrid of some sort. I can't imagine that we're going to go straight from the combustion engine to electric when there's just, let's not get too political, but, you know, our government can't really organise a pea soup in a brewery. The reference there for anyone that gets it. I can't imagine them getting all the infrastructure in place and having everything ready to go in 10 years. I don't think that's likely, so probably hybrid, I'd have thought. But with the F1 engines, what they need, or the power units, what they need is they need something less complicated. So there's some talk of possibly freezing the ICE. So there'll be like a standard ICE for everybody. And then manufacturers can come in and use the batteries and the MGUKs and all that to make up the power, which would make them more relevant to the road car companies. So your manufacturers, it's more relevant to Mercedes or somebody like that. So that might attract in more manufacturers. That's what they're hoping, rather than going full electric, because one, they'd have to get Formula E's permission and I can't see them giving that up. And two, I don't think Formula One wants to go full electric. I really don't. The more you listen to Ross Brawn, I think it's been brought up before, I don't think they want to go full electric. So they're trying to find that balance. And I think a standard ICE and then make the power up with everything else would be what they'd be looking for. So we'll see. We shall see. 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go. I'll tell you what, that is a conversation. Somebody remind me. I don't mind who. Follow me on Twitter at F1Word. You can remind me on there. Possibly January, we'll do a live stream. We'll talk about future power units. A bit of a hark back to when I did one of my first ever live streams. In fact, the first stream with Jonty actually on the 2021 regulations as they were then. So we'll do that over the winter. Plenty of time through December, January, February, and possibly early March, depending on when testing is, to talk about all this. So definitely, it's an excuse to go live and waffle to you. Why not? And I moved to biofuels, another thing that people are mentioning. So mix all that up and I'm sure they'll come up with something. I have complete and total faith in Formula One to make the right decision and do the right thing. Was that convincing? Max Verstappen racing at the moment, a Renault. Goes around the outside of him. Nicely done. I think the Renault made that a little bit easy. We'll be on fresh, nice brand spanking new soft tyres. Lowest fuel of the day. Best conditions. 2.5 minutes coming up to of just flat out 10 Formula One cars. Who's getting pole? What do you reckon? Can he do it? Can Max Verstappen just nick that one from Lewis Hamilton, or is Hamilton going to do enough? I'm sticking with my prediction at the moment. My prediction is spot on. Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. It appears nobody got my pea soup in a brewery reference. I'm Quite disappointed. Oh, I was such a 90s kid. It was my decade. I know, like, in life, I'm not old, but I sometimes forget in YouTube sense I'm quite old. Here goes Hamilton then, on the soft tyres. What's he going to do? He's pole at the moment. 27.7 in the first sector was his previous lap. His overall lap is a 1:27.6. We've got coming to a minute and a half to go. So it's going to be Hamilton, followed by the Alpha Tauris, Bottas, Norris, the Red Bulls, the Renaults, and Sergio Perez will be the last one. Hamilton, purple. So he's improving 700ths of a second almost at 68 thousandths, if you prefer me to be a bit more accurate. I can't go any further than that. I want to see what Verstappen's doing then. I wish they put all the times up together that we need to see. Here goes Max Verstappen then on his lap, starting his lap. There's Bottas. Here we go. They're putting the times up now for me. Lovely. For me. For everybody. Hamilton through the middle sector. He is quicker by 0.2 of a second on his own time. Hamilton staking a claim here. Pretty convincing claim for pole position. So 1:27.6 was his time coming to the final couple of corners. Here we go. DRS will flick open now as he comes to the line, and it is a 1:27.2. This might not be as close as I was expecting. Valtteri Bottas needs this lap. He's currently... Gasly goes fourth on a 28.4. It is a new track record as well for Lewis Hamilton, that 27.6. Kvyat goes into sixth place. Perez will be last across the line. What can Bottas do? Can he make it an all Mercedes front row? Yes, he can on a 1:27.5. But what is Max Verstappen doing through turn 11? Not 11 at all. I'm lying to you. That's next week's track. Through turn 14. DRS open. He doesn't split the Mercs. He stays P3. Big moment for Alex Albon. What can he do? Alex Albon goes fourth. That is exactly where he needs to be. 0.6 off his teammate, but position-wise, he's spot on. Ricciardo only fifth. What will Ocon and Gasly, Perez, and no, Norris has already done it. Ocon goes sixth on a 1:28.4, right behind his teammate. Perez, the only one that could potentially spoil Albon's party here. Here goes Perez over the line. It is only fifth for Perez, so it's pole position for Lewis Hamilton for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas in second place. I'm shocked to my very core. Max Verstappen in third place. Alexander Albon, yes, I know, 0.6 off his teammate, but exactly where he needs to be in P4. Come on, Alex, turn that into a good result. Fifth place for Sergio Perez. Sixth for Daniel Ricciardo, 7th for Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly 8th, Lando Norris 9th, and Daniel Kvyat 10th. Lewis Hamilton with his 9 millionth pole position. I can't remember what it was now. Jay, you should be happy, mate. Alex Albon's 4th. Don't be like that. He's got his lap in. He's exactly where he's expected to be. He's a way off his teammate, but he's still right behind him on the grid. And that might have set him up very nicely for tomorrow's race. That is Lewis Hamilton's 99th pole position, I believe, unless that's already updated, which I would be very surprised. But 99th pole position, which means he's one off, because I can count now, the 100. I mean, I'm not surprised by that result. When I came into this weekend, I was being bold by popping Verstappen between the two Mercs, but it's a Mercedes track. The final three, well, it's difficult next week, isn't it? We don't really know what to expect, but this layout is a Mercedes track. Abu Dhabi is very much a Mercedes track, so there you go. Not surprised by this at all. Lewis Hamilton just sits on his halo. Why not? But I'm so pleased Alex Albon's 4th, and I just really, really hope he can just turn that into a great result. We'll talk about him in a bit, but I really hope he can just turn that into a great result tomorrow. Even if he finishes 4th, that's fine. That is absolutely fine for Albon. If he finishes fourth tomorrow, that's what Red Bull need. Their second driver in the top four gives them options in the race. I say it a million times, okay? He does not need to be beating Verstappen. He does not need to do anything epic. He just needs to do what's expected of him, which is to back his teammate up. So that's what he's done today. So credit. And I will give him a lot of credit. Of course we're going to give him a lot of credit because I criticise him when he's been terrible. So it's only fair to give him the credit when he does a job. And there you go, fourth place, but still 6/10 of his teammate, which is a gap that needs to come down a bit. Needs to come down a bit. Again, don't need to beat him. 2 AlphaTauri boys in there getting weighed. Lando Norris, I don't know why you need to know that. Just letting you know, why not? What if Perez in the podium, says Yantra? It'd kind of be typical F1, wouldn't it? If Sergio Perez finished on the podium in the final 3 races and didn't have a seat, or 4 races if you include Turkey. Kind of, probably should expect it really, shouldn't we? It's the way F1 goes. But I think drivers that could be very happy today, obviously Lewis Hamilton getting pole position. I think Verstappen will be disappointed with third. I think he could have been on the front row today. So I'd be interested if made a mistake or a lock-up or anything like that, or maybe Mercedes just have that edge, even though Bottas hasn't been really on it this weekend so far. But I think Hamilton happy. I think Albon will be very happy with that in fourth place. Ocon 2 1,000ths off his teammate. I just saw something in chat actually there. Louis saying 15-1 against Ocon. Is that the score now between Ricciardo and Ocon? But you don't have to do it now, but I might do it as well. I kind of challenge us to go back and look at what the gaps are between them, because in those 15-1 wins for Ricciardo, like today, yeah, Ricciardo's beat him, but it's by 0.02 of a second. He's not on pace on a Saturday, if this makes sense. He's not destroying Ocon, if that makes sense. He's beating him because the score says that, but it's not by a massive, crazy margin. It's not like Daniel Ricciardo 6th and Ocon's down in 16th. He's right behind him. So again, I said it last week, Ocon's season has been that's how I feel. But yeah, I think a few happy drivers. George Russell 14th. That's all right. Oh, Astro, good afternoon. Yeah, Rick is obviously better. I'm not debating whether Ocon is better than Ricciardo. Ricciardo is comfortably better than Ocon. And Ricciardo, you would expect, would beat Ocon over the course of the season. I'm just saying, although it's 15-1, some of those gaps like today have been nothing. So, yeah. there's no argument there, mate. We're not falling out over that one. Ricciardo is better than Ocon. Wonder if Max Verstappen's got anything to say. Kind of half listening while I read what you guys say, and then I'll go through the order. We'll have a post-session waffle. If you are disappearing, by the way, because I know some of you just like to watch and listen to me talk rubbish while the session's on. If you are going, thanks for popping on. Please do drop a like before you disappear. That'd be massively appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Back tomorrow afternoon, a couple of hours after the race, or an hour after the race, about 5 p.m. UK time, with Chamber tomorrow to talk about what we see in Bahrain and look ahead to next weekend's oval-like race. I'm going to dread that all week next week. It's not an oval. It's an oval to anybody that's never seen an oval. Anyway. Yes. Yeah, see what you guys say in chat, then we'll do it. I'll go through the order and that, and we'll do a post-session chat, look at strategy tomorrow. We'll discuss that briefly. I think most of the top 10, all the top 10 are on the mediums, aren't they? So that's going to be interesting. We'll do some predictions as well, Luke. Don't worry. I always like to do predictions. Why not? Imagine Gasly versus Ocon. That would be pure drama. I think, to be honest, I genuinely think that Renault have got an eye on Gasly. And I think it's more likely that if Ocon doesn't... The problem for Ocon is he's going up against Ricciardo, then next year he's going up against Alonso. But if he doesn't deliver next year, I expect Gasly to spend 2022 alongside Alonso at Renault. And then if Gasly sort of carries on what he's doing, I think he'll be the one to lead that team alongside maybe a Christian Lundgaard or a Guan Yu Zhou, somebody like that, perhaps, if they have good seasons next year. A Renault Junior come in, so you've got a young French driver leading a French team, which would be great for PR and all of that business, or Alpine as they'll be next year, rather than Renault, and then bring in one of the juniors to sit alongside him and develop with him. I think that'd be a smart move, because I don't think Alonso will stay past 22 unless they're winning championships, of course. But he's only in it for, I think, the way he's talking, it's a couple of years, I think, and help them develop for the future. And then Gasly leads that team in 23. Hence why, if it was up to me, I'd put Perez and Verstappen together at Red Bull and then stick Albon alongside Gasly so Albon can lead that AlphaTauri team. But yeah, see you later, Scott. Thank you for popping along, mate. Hopefully catch you tomorrow in the reaction. Also, AR as well, going back to your uni report. Good luck. Hope it was okay. Yeah. Eamon says, please stop calling it an oval. Oh, don't. I'm sure me and Stuart will have a waffle about it tomorrow. It is so frustrating. It's not an oval. But the word that's being used by, I can't remember who it was on Twitter that suggested it, is squoval. I quite like the word. And somebody else said it looks like a piece of toast. It's not an oval, but that's what they're going to call it all week, is oval-like. Ross Brawn started that. Ross Brawn. Of all people, you think he'd know what an oval looked like. He spent a week arguing with the FIA back in 1999 about the correct reference point to measure on a barge board. You think he'd know what an oval is? Wow. That's my most recent Ross Brawn reference is 99. Anyway, I'll go quiet for a second, then I'll get ready to put my timestamp in later, and we'll run through it. Lewis Hamilton will start tomorrow's Bahrain Grand Prix on pole position ahead of teammate Valtteri Bottas. Another Mercedes front row lockout. Nearly 3 tenths between them, though. Max Verstappen in third place. Will be disappointed with that. Was looking good for splitting the Mercedes actually up until those final laps. 4 tenths off in P3. Starts on the medium tyre. The entire top 10 starting on the medium tyre. Alex Albon in fourth place. Great result for him. 6 tenths off his teammate, but as I've said in the stream a couple of times already, exactly where he needs to be. That is what Red Bull will be expecting of him, so hopefully he can translate that into a good result tomorrow. Sergio Perez will be very happy, I'm sure, with 5th place, heading that midfield. Only actually 48 thousandths of a second off Alex Albon in 4th, so close Perez to pipping Albon to that one. 6th place for Daniel Ricciardo, just a couple of thousandths further back is teammate Esteban Ocon. That potentially, if those Renaults could take the fight to Perez tomorrow, that could potentially be massive. Renault need a good swing of points, actually, because they could do with a few to catch Racing Point, and they're probably an outsider now for P3, but we'll see. Pierre Gasly in 8th place, just doing what Gasly does now. Nothing again between him and the Renaults. 30 thousandths of a second, 3 100ths. Lando Norris in 9th place. Daniel Kvyat in 10th. As I say, top 10 all starting on the mediums. 11th for Sergio Perez, for Sebastian Vettel. Checo went like that. Sebastian Vettel in 11th place. He'll get free choice of tyre, as will Leclerc in 12th. Not bad, I don't think that is for Ferrari when you consider the strategy they can run tomorrow. Lance Stroll 13th. Very disappointing after that pole position in Turkey. Yet to hear if there's any reason. Maybe just a bad day. 14th for George Russell. Once again, Mr. Saturday into Q2, as you would kind of expect now. Did out-qualify Carlos Sainz, but Carlos Sainz had an issue with his car, causing his rear to lock, put him into a spin, and that was the end of his session. No damage done, as in he didn't hit a wall, but that was the end of his session. 15th. Possible penalties, which could see him fall to the back. Antonio Giovinazzi is in 16th place. Kimi Raikkonen in 17th, so Gio beating Raikkonen. Interesting. 18th for Kevin Magnussen, 19th for Romain Grosjean, and 20th place for the second Williams of Nicholas Latifi. So there we go. That's qualifying for the 2020 Bahrain Grand Prix. We'll do predictions in a minute. Just on strategy tomorrow, Pirelli said in their preview stuff that last year, Pirelli didn't say this, we know this from last year, most of the drivers did go for a 2-stop strategy, but this year the tyres are a step softer, so rather than being the hardest 3 in the range, they are middle of the range, so they are the 2, 3 and 4, so being a step softer, and given that last year everyone did 2 stops, I'd be very surprised if anybody can make the 1-stop work, but then I've been surprised several times this season with strategy, so that wouldn't be maybe as surprising as perhaps it should be, if that makes sense. But with everyone in the top 10 starting on the medium tyre, I would fully expect, and I think you'll probably agree, chat, to be fair, I'd fully expect that everyone will go medium with the aim of going medium to hard and then try and make the 1-stopper work. but I'm expecting two. The thing is, though, if anybody tries to make that one-stopper work and say, like, let's say Mercedes disappear tomorrow. Let's be realistic, they probably will. But let's say they disappear tomorrow. They're comfortable. They're trying to make the one-stopper work, and then the hard tyre starts to fall off towards the end, and Max Verstappen's there, third place, thinks, hang on a minute, we've got a few laps to go. Let's stick the mediums on, and let's go for it. So while their tyres are degrading and on a harder compound, maybe Verstappen could make a second stop and make some gains there and perhaps take the fight to them towards the end. So I think it's going to be a bit of a... It could be a bit of a slow burner tomorrow's race. We're going to see tyre management early on because they're going to want to extend that stint. Anybody starting on the softs is going to be crazy, in my opinion, because I just don't think they're going to last very long at all. Because it's hot in Bahrain. The track is pretty rough on tyres anyway. So I'd be very surprised if anyone can make a one-stopper work tomorrow. But then again, like I say, if anyone's going to, it's probably going to be Mercedes and possibly Sergio Perez. But that's a driver to watch tomorrow as well. Sergio Perez, if he can get that to work, he could be on for a really solid result. So I'm looking forward to it strategy-wise tomorrow. But the great thing about Bahrain is, while strategy, as I said in the preview, while strategy is absolutely important, it's not imperative. It's not... What's the word I'm looking for? It's not the most important factor in Bahrain because you can overtake. You've got the long straight, overpowered DRS, so there are passes into turn 1. You've then got an opportunity up at turn 4. You've then got the DRS between 10 and 11. 11 would be a risky move, depending on where you are, I suppose, but it will be a risky move, but at least you can close a gap up for a move down the straight. So lots of opportunities tomorrow for overtaking, as well as strategy. So it's going to be fascinating, but I'm going to say most of the field will two-stop. And Perez and Leclerc will make the one-stopper work. Oh, oh, no, don't make predictions like that, Sean. A couple of you in chat actually asking about the weather for tomorrow, so I will have a look for you because that is the next big question, is it? Bahrain International, of course. I think that's the airport rather than the circuit, but it gives you an idea. 30% chance of rain in the afternoon, but in the evening, when the race is run, it is less than 5%. So less than 5% chance of rain for the race tomorrow, but never say never. We had a drizzle in Abu Dhabi last year, for God's sake. That was never to be expected, and we had a few spots of rain during practice yesterday morning, so it could happen. It could happen, but at the moment it is... Louis just said it in chat there, says 0. When a weather forecast says less than 5%, what they mean is 0, but they won't commit to saying 0 because they don't want to be completely wrong. So, yeah, there you go. I don't expect it, but who said it in chat earlier, actually? 2020 things. It would just be so 2020, but they did chuck it down tomorrow. So we'll see. We shall see. I'm not expecting it, but you never know. But I think strategy-wise, two-stopper. Couple will pull off a one-stopper. But I think there's that risk, isn't there, in Bahrain, that you just fall off the cliff and then you're in an absolute mess. So, yeah, we'll do predictions in a second, actually. Just want to a quick word on strategy at what Red Bull could do. If Max Verstappen gets off the line well tomorrow and gets himself in between those two Mercedes and Alex Albon can stay fourth, Red Bull have got a shot of winning tomorrow. Because what they can then do is they can, rather than... Most of this season, Red Bull have been in the position where Mercedes can dictate strategy because they've only got Max Verstappen up there to challenge. Whereas now, they've got Albon in the mix, so they can use him so they can take the fight to Mercedes. They can dictate the strategy, and that will make Mercedes uncomfortable. They like to be in control of that. And if Red Bull are calling the shots with the strategy and forcing their hand, that could really spice things up. And maybe if Mercedes thought they could make a one-stopper work, Red Bull might force them into a two-stopper. So what I'd love tomorrow is Verstappen splitting those Mercedes into turn 1 and Albon keeping himself fourth, because that's going to give us a fight for the win. If Mercedes get out 1 and 2 and Albon falls backwards, it's probably game over, to be fair. Safety car, not a massive chance of one in Bahrain. I think it's featured twice, I believe. Was it twice or 4 times? I can't remember now. I wrote all of this down. In lovely notes, and then OBS crashed. And I was like, I am not even going to bother trying to open anything else. So I think it's only been a couple of times. It's not a guarantee, basically, is what I'm saying. So could mix it up. But as we saw in 2014, we all talk about the jewel in the desert, don't we, as one of the the best Bahrain Grand Prix that we've seen. So get a safety car late on, bunch the field up. It's certainly going to make it a bit more interesting. I'm just having a quick look here through the Lights Out blog. It's four Bahrain Grand Prix have seen a safety car period. 2018 we saw the first virtual safety car. The safety car has never appeared more than once. That was it, in a race at the circuit. So 4 times they've been affected. 4 races over the years. So a massive thank you there to Lights Out blog as well, and thanks for the season, Nikki Halliday, for your stats. It's really makes things a lot easier when coming to do the previews and whatnot. Next week's preview should be interesting. Nobody watched this week's, but next week should be pretty good because we've got a different circuit, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, that's where I'm at. We'll probably see a safety car tomorrow of some sort, because if a car pulls over, we'll get a virtual safety car. But there's so much runoff in Bahrain, lots of marshal posts, lots of gaps in barriers to wheel cars back into. Chances of full course safety car without an accident are... You'd need something like we had last year, where the 2 Renaults both stopped in quick succession in turn 1 to bring one out. I think virtual safety car probably enough. We'll see. I'm just looking forward to the race. It should be good. I always look forward to races. Every week I say that. I'll take a couple of your comments, then we'll do predictions, and then we'll wrap it up. One, Alex Albon. He's got a mask on, but I can see he's smiling under that mask, so I think he should be pretty happy with that one. So if you've got any questions, ideally race-related, but I'll answer anything. You know me. I'll answer most things within reason. Then we'll do some predictions, and then we'll wrap it up in a few minutes. Because I'm going to annoy everyone with my next line. I'm off to put my Christmas tree up. Yes! It's nearly December. Shut up. Bar humbug. It's 2020. If I want to put it up in June, I will. That's how I feel about it. But anyway. Do you know that Bahrain is an island? Is it? Yas Marina's an island. Abu Dhabi. I did not know. I will Google that later, and I'll have a look at a map. There you go. I didn't know. Rince says, how are you feeling today, Sean? I'm all right. Yeah, thank you. Hope you're all right too. I've had this cold thing. Fingers crossed for the word cold, for about 3 weeks now. So when the channel goes quiet, it's because I've either lost my voice or I'm just coughing all the time. So, yeah, apologies for the lack of content over the last few weeks, but I've not been very well. So I'm saying cold because I refuse to say anything else. What are your predictions for tomorrow's race? We'll do that in a minute. LCG plays. The black Merc at night is so sexy, says Corey. The black Merc looks great anyway. And if you didn't know, by the way, because I've not said it on the channel, Mercedes have said they are keeping the black livery for next year. So, and I must say, when I look back at old pictures, I always like the silver arrows, you know, the silver on the car. When I look back at the old pictures and you compare them to the black car, the black livery looks so much better. It really, really does. So there you go. Apparently Bahrain is an island. Thank you, Rob. That's what I say to me Googling, but I'll still have a look because that's intriguing me. Catherine says, everyone's saying Bottas is there to help the team secure the Constructors. Is it not true that Hamilton has enough points on his own for Merck to win the Constructors? It is true. Dan spotted that last week actually in the race reaction and nearly knocked me off my chair. That is true, yeah. But my argument to that would be if you remove Bottas from the standings, Red Bull get more points and maybe he wouldn't have enough then, if that makes sense. Because if Bottas doesn't finish second, somebody's got to. So if that's Verstappen, maybe the gap is smaller, or maybe Red Bull end up winning the Constructors. So on the numbers, yeah, but in reality, if Bottas wasn't there doing the job he's doing, then Red Bull would be picking those points up and would probably win a championship. But it's a really fascinating stat, that one, because it's crazy that a driver, it's not the first time in history, but that a driver can win the Constructors' Championship on their own is mad, really, on their points tally. But yeah, Dan nearly knocked me off my chair with that one last week. Mental. Saw you on Twitter talk about the lack of views. Are you going to be able to keep up the content, says Ben? Yeah. It's I'm not asking you to do this, Ben, because I imagine you've got a life, so I don't want to put you through this. If you go back to last November, I'll be having exactly the same. Every single November, the views drop off on... I was talking to Dan about this last week, on sort of IRL F1 channels that are covering race weekends. The views drop off because the championship's been decided. It's a long season normally, so fatigue kicks in for people. I think this year people are catching up on homework, they're catching up on work when offices and whatnot are open and things like that. So I think it's just everything's kind of combined this year to make it worse than normal in November. Plus, I've hardly been massively consistent, but I'll absolutely keep up the content. I've got next week will be the usual race weekend stuff. Same with Abu Dhabi. There's then going to be a video for every single team in December for their team review, sort of 5 to 7 minute video covering every team. So there's 10 of those to go in December. There's probably going to be driver announcements as well that I'll be covering. We've got live streams. There'll be the Christmas special. There'll be other live streams as well. So there's going to be plenty still coming up. And I'm still in a position where I can keep doing this full time, so that's great. It's just when you've kind of gone from when your previews are doing sort of 35 to 50k, suddenly for them to do 15, it's a bit of a that's painful. But it's the same November lull. November to the beginning of February tend to be pretty poor, and then obviously it all kicks in with car launches. I'm intrigued by car launches actually next year, because are we excited about them? Because fact of the matter is they're basically this year's car with a few tweaks and a different livery. So maybe there won't be that much hype around it. But yeah, thank you for that question. I could sort of explain that quickly here. But yeah, I'll still be going. I'm not going anywhere, much to I'm sure some people's disappointment. I'll be here doing something to do with F1 probably as long as one person's watching. I'm happy to keep going. So obviously if only one person's watching, I can't afford to do it full time, so you won't get as many videos. But you know. The change to era next season will be intriguing, says Louis, or are intriguing. Rusty says, which livery for next year are you most excited about? 100% the Aston Martin. No doubt about that whatsoever. No doubt about that. Trying to think. Who else? I mean, the Ferrari will be red. We already know the Mercedes is going to be black. The Red Bull will be Red Bull livery. Yeah, it's probably only really the Alpine one as well. Alpine and Aston Martin for me. That's the one I'm looking forward to. Thank you very much, Samar, for popping along. Have a good afternoon, mate. I look forward to tomorrow as well, definitely. But I think Alpine hopefully will go blue and yellow. I'm hoping for. But yeah, Alpine, and Aston Martin for me, definitely. Will AlphaTauri have the same livery? Hopefully. Bloody love that livery. Don't know why it gets the hate it gets. It's simple. Reminds me of the BMW Williams from 2000. One of my favourite liveries of all time. Love that car. Love that livery. Take a couple more, then we'll do predictions then, and I'll run through the order again before we disappear. Do you think Alonso will be performing good for next year, especially after all these struggles that we had when he was at McLaren? Yeah, there is a concern. Not a concern, but I wonder if we might get... Do you remember when Schumacher came back in 2010? I hope Alonso doesn't do that, where he comes back and he's actually nowhere near where he was as a driver when he was kind of in Formula One before he took a sabbatical. I hope he doesn't come back and drop off. I'm hoping he gets in that Renault or the Alpine and absolutely gives us one hell of a fight in that midfield and maybe in the fight for the top three. But I can't see. I mean, he's been pretty good in everything else he's raced since F1, so I can't see that he's going to be on most things he's raced since F1, I should say. I can't see he's going to drop off, but I'm kind of... I've said it before. The only way I can explain it is I'm not his biggest fan, but I'm not his biggest fan because he was the guy that took the titles from Schumacher in 2005 and I was a Schumacher fanboy. I don't hate him. There's no hate there. I have mad respect for him and I have mad respect for the talent he's got. I'm just not his biggest fan. So I'm looking forward to seeing him in Formula One and seeing his talent in Formula One, but I probably won't be listening to too many interviews afterwards, if that makes sense. So yeah, you think I'd get over it. It's 2020 for God's sake. It's 15 years ago. Move on, Sean. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him back because plus Formula One's about the pinnacle of motorsport, especially the pinnacle of motorsport, the best drivers in the world, and he's one of the best drivers in the world. So great, get back. There you go. Imagine if Stroll beats Alonso, says Astro. That'd be a story, wouldn't it? It would be a story. Alonso is going to be way off the pace, says Louis. Interesting one. Ronnie says 98 poles and counting, 100 before by the next 2 weekends. Arisa, Lewis Hamilton, it's hammer time. Yeah, 98, so 2 off 100. Wow. Probably going to do it. If he doesn't do it this season, I'm pretty sure he'll do it by the end of next season. He'll get a few there, won't he? Definitely. It'll be a disaster if Stroll cannot beat Alonso. The Racing Point should still be a better car next year due to development restrictions. I think there's some great dynamics next year. And again, we'll get into this in the winter, but Vettel Stroll is going to be fascinating. Alonso Ocon's going to be fascinating. If Albon's still alongside Verstappen, what can he do? Can he bounce back? Ricciardo and Norris, Sainz and Leclerc, some great lineups to get excited about next year, but we'll talk about that one over the winter. So we'll go through the order in a minute. We'll do predictions as well. Do drop a like on the stream. Would be massively appreciated. Quieter afternoon. 499 watching in a minute, 200 likes. Let's get a few more on there. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for that. And don't forget to subscribe if you are new. But let's do some predictions then. Who have you got for the win tomorrow? Let me know. I'll do my predictions in a second. In fact, do your top three. I like your top three. We'll do that and I'll do mine. But for those tuning in after the stream, just a final quick run through the order. Lewis Hamilton on pole position for tomorrow's race with Valtteri Bottas in second, Max Verstappen third, Alex Albon fourth and Sergio Perez in fifth place. Daniel Ricciardo 6th for Renault, 7th Esteban Ocon, 8th Pierre Gasly, 9th Lando Norris and 10th for Daniel Kvyat. The top 10 covered by 1.3 seconds and they all start on the medium tyre tomorrow. Probably needed really strategy-wise. Sebastian Vettel in 11th and Charles Leclerc 12th. Interested to know if one of those Ferraris, if not both of them, or in fact anybody from 11th down, decide to go hard to medium rather than medium to hard. That could be interesting. But Lance Stroll in 13th place, bit of a fall from grace there. 14th for George Russell, 15th for Carlos Sainz, 16th for Antonio Giovinazzi, 17th for Kimi Raikkonen, 18th for Kevin Magnussen, 19th for Romain Grosjean and Nicholas Latifi in 20th and last place. Just while you guys are doing your predictions, actually, I'll read them out in just a moment and make mine. I'm just going to see if F1 have put the official result up. If so, I can pop it on screen just for anybody that wants a bit more information. They usually do. Weird that they potentially haven't, which tells me something's going on. They haven't, so I can't do that, so apologies for that one. But yeah, predictions. I'm going... Oh, is it boring to say Hamilton? It probably is, because he's on pole, so it's obvious it's going to be probably him. I'll say Hamilton, but I'm not confident because I've got a feeling that if Albon gets it right tomorrow, Red Bull can take the fight to Mercedes and might be able to play something on strategy. But I'll say Hamilton, Verstappen to split the Mercedes, and Bottas fends off Perez for the podium. Perez just pipping Albon. There you go. So Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas, my top three. Because it's just, you know, these bold predictions, living on the edge, it's what I do. Why not? Aswin says Hamilton for the win. Stephen just wants Ricciardo to win the title. Vimbai says Lewis, Verstappen and Perez. Mukun says Hamilton, Verstappen, Albon. Rob's gone with Bottas, Magnussen, Hamilton. Magnussen. Well, loving that optimism. Amazing. Actually, that'd be mega for Haas. Mega again. That'd be amazing for Haas because that would put them ahead of Alfa Romeo, of course, probably quite comfortably in the constructors, and that's a few million quid there. So, yeah, that might be pretty decent for Haas. I'd be surprised, but there you go. Charlotte's gone with Hamilton, Verstappen and Bottas. Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen for Tyler. Astro's gone with Hamilton, predictably ahead of hopefully Perez and Ricciardo. That sounds like a great race. I might come and watch your version. Luke says Hamilton, Bottas, Albon. Sam's gone with Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen. Vanessa says Hamilton will probably win. Julius has gone with Hamilton, Verstappen, Bottas. Ben's gone with Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen. Hey, Ray, Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez. Lot of love for Perez. No great surprise, I don't think, really. Stephen, possibly already read yours, said Verstappen, Hamilton, Albon. No, didn't you? Said about Ricciardo, didn't you? IKN says Hamilton, Bottas, Perez. Few more. The Rudno says Bottas, Max, Perez. Catherine's gone with Verstappen, Hamilton and Albon. Molly, Hamilton, Perez, Verstappen or Gasly. Gasly podium would be pretty awesome tomorrow. And he said mega again. LCG Flay says Hamilton, Bottas and Albon. Luke, Magnussen, Raikkonen and Latifi. Rusty Gusty says Hamilton, Verstappen, Ricardo. 2 more. Who have we got? Let's see. Madge says Verstappen, or Marge says Verstappen, Perez, and Gasly. And 1 more super quickly. Couple of putting theirs in again. Red Bull South Petronas has gone with Kvyat for the win. Albon, Verstappen, and Gasly for Scott. So an all Honda podium. That'd be an interesting one, Scott. Do you know, there's a few races there that I'd quite like to come and watch. So it's such a shame we're in lockdown still. I could have popped over. We could have watched these races that you're all predicting because they sound mega. I said mega again just for the lols. Why not? But that is it. Lewis Hamilton on pole position for tomorrow. Going to wrap things up. Thank you for your company this afternoon. Don't forget to drop a like and please do subscribe if you're new. Greatly appreciated as always. So going to wrap it up for today. It's been live for a little while, but I will be back tomorrow with Stuart, aka Chainbear, for the race reaction. Be live around about an hour after the race finishes. It's usually about 5 o'clock with the normal race times. So around 5 p.m. we'll be live. Just with some reaction, not review, as I always say, just a bit of waffle to follow the race, chat about what we've just seen, get lots of your comments as well. So think up some good questions for Q&A if you're going to be there tomorrow. We've been missing out on some good questions, some really good ones, some proper thinkers, something that will get me scratching my head. Doesn't usually take a lot, but yeah. Don't forget as well, you can follow me over on social media. I don't know what this outro is. Why not? Links to Twitter and all of that business are all in the description down below. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean. This has been the F1 Word. And until next time, goodbye.